G'day everyone and welcome back to Railway Empire 2. I'm your host SmilePie and we'll be continuing with chapter 1 of the campaign. So previously we got up to the sugar connection. So we need to extend our rail line out of the south of Boston, and we were talking about having this curve around the mountain range and forming our main line into Albany. So let's start off by doing that. So we'll jump right in. So let's make this nice straight area for our gridiron. 2% grade. We can live with that. So that's good. And we'll make our gridiron right now since we're here. So look at us go. Um, keep the topography on. That makes it easier for us to see where we're going, what we're doing. Now, before I get too far ahead with the main line, what I think we should do is place the station in Albany, and then that way we'll have something to aim for when we're coming in. So we'll do that right now. We got $1.2 million, so we're not short on cash by any means, and we can have a think about from Albany, where do we want to go after that? So we can see we've got this wheat farm that we need to connect to, and in the future we'll probably be looking to connect to Syracuse. There may be business connections up here that we need to make. So if we have that as a east-west aligned station, we'd be able to have future connections that could sort of turn off to the north, either this side or that side of Albany, and we can definitely have a station for the wheat over here. So, are there any other vegetable farms around the place? Not really. So we'll probably be looking to connect to that, and probably the milk at some point in the future. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, let's also click on this brewery. See how much that's going for. So it's got a utilization rate that's a bit low. So 310, we'll get that for around 200-ish. So let's buy that right now. There we go, 217. So that's not so bad. Let's click that away. So back to back to one of many sidetracks. I like my topography on. Let's put a station here. So my 2 cents worth for the developers of this game, if you could have a function where you could set the level or the grade, probably the level of the station when you construct it. So if I was able to set this lower into the ground, that would be a great function. So I'm sure there's others out there who would agree with me that if we had a function like that, it would be well used. And actually, what have I done? I like to, as I was saying in my last episode, I like to have the stations aligned in the same way. So that way, yeah, this track that's closest to the station building on the right hand side of the screen would line up with this track here. But the way that I've done it, that's not going to happen. So let's reverse. I'll have to bulldoze this and reverse that. So it's just a minor setback for us, not barely an inconvenience. There we go. So no financial difference whatsoever. Take just too much forest for me to see clearly where we're going. So we've got this ditch. It's pretty much just a big depression. So let's just set out the alignment, and then we will sort of adjust for bridges and tunnels and whatever other features that the computer thinks we're going to need speak proper pronunciation. Thank you, Smile Pie. Yeah, we've got a bit of a ugly curve going on. Let's see if we can do anything about that. Well, let's do something about the bridge first up. So, remembering we want to keep our maximum speed rating, and we also want to keep our grades minimized. So, well, that's not bloody doing it, is it? 1%, 1%, we're looking good. Let's adjust this thing here. This is ugly. This is ugly. This is bloody crap. It's pissing us off. Well, that's all right. Let's make you come out a bit more. So this is why sometimes I will build like a short length of track when it looks good, and then continue on, because the way that the computer or the game will auto generate some of these things, it just doesn't it's not to our liking. So it's too much. Too much fiddling. I know this makes for great viewing, guys, and I appreciate you for bearing with me. But perfection or fussiness, to be more exact, fussiness takes time, let alone perfection. But I'm happy with fussiness. I think fussiness is all I can do, really. But that's probably selling myself short. I reckon I can get perfection going, but I don't want to scare everyone off in my first few videos. Let's build that for now, and then we'll also build our straight bit to keep our crazy thoughts in check. There we go. Now, how can we tie in with what you were supposed to just work out and not don't like it. Don't like it at all. Let's I'll tell you, this track planning with multiple track plannings, that is a very handy feature. So I'll knock that off and see if this does anything for us. Well, it does about bugger all, doesn't it? So that's no good. I could just come straight across here. I was trying to avoid that outcrop there of terrain, but we'll just go straight across. Let's let's. I know what you're all thinking. I can hear it. It's like, well, I'm glad we sat down and planned this properly before we got into this debacle. So I know, I know. Planning, better planning makes. I don't know. There's some saying about planning which I've buggered up as well. So yeah, when you plan well, you're doing good. But we haven't done that in this case. We've muffed it something hard. So anyway, you live and learn. Um, let's just lock onto this and see if our curves align. So the curves are aligning. That's actually not too bad. So we've done the bridge, 0 grade, max. That was all in acceptable limits, and now we'll have another line on the inside. So that turns out all right. So really, I should have just done that in the first place, and we all would have saved ourselves vital minutes instead of the opposite. But we made it now. Let's set the direction of travel. That's that way, and that is that way. So this is the correct Australian, side of the road, or side of the tracks in this case, to operate on. So we've got the connection bonus there that we'll collect. So that's 500,000. So we're pretty much. I was going to say we're paying for itself, but it's not paying for itself by far. But anyway, once we get some loads through there, we'll definitely pay for it. I won't hook on the sugar just yet. I'll let some trains run first so we can build up the rev. But let's start some trains. So we want to express train from Boston to Albany. Let's do the naming convention. So Express, Boston, Albany. We're going to have a John Bull train, one train. Express. We don't need to change anything here. We could do a first principles analysis of the route. So let's have a look. The duration is 16.7 days, meaning it'll take a train 16 days to go from Boston to Albany. And if we were to click on the town of Boston and open up the passenger, you can see here we've got 14 passengers will arrive every week in Boston wanting to go to Albany. Now, there's loads of other cities out to the west which may also get picked up. So Syracuse, Buffalo, Ottawa, passengers coming out of Boston wanting to go to those other destinations will most likely get on the Albany train and complete that portion of their journey. So in short, we've got a fair few low demand destinations that will be scooped up by the Albany Express train. Do we think it's going to accrue enough passenger demand to warrant a second train? Probably not at this stage, but in about a year or so, we'll need to revisit that and probably add another one or two trains onto that line. So that's my analysis. Just that's all we need to do. So there's that one. Now we've got beer, and meat. So those two goods, if I set a freight train here, which we'll do, they will run between those two cities, and they will feed each other's needs. So first up, we'll also make a freight line between Boston and Albany. Now the good thing about these two cities or industries, the meat industry and the brewery, is we own them. So the more that we can produce using these businesses, the more money our railway empire will make. So good on us. So let's do the naming convention. So with these freight trains, I classify them as F2 because they're going to carry whatever products are demanded by the destination city. So that, I guess, the game AI, for want of a better term, will populate uh, the freight on the train itself. So it knows what the other city wants, and it just loads up what's available to transport. So again, we'll have a John Bull train. We'll have one train for now. There's no special wagons to put on. In the future, we would consider putting on possibly a refrigeration car at some point, because eventually when you're transporting milk and cheese and vegetables, it's always good to keep those items in refrigerated. From a game perspective, it gives you an extra 25% on the revenue that you receive. So so it's if you're transporting 8 carriages, well, first up, the refrigeration car takes away one of those carriages, so you'll only have 7 carriages. Each car, or carload. Well, I guess what would you call it? Each carriage load of freight you receive $2,000 for, no matter the distance that you transport it. So to get a 25% uplift on that, on 7 carriages, you end up ahead. So it is worthwhile putting on the refrigeration cars. So there's that. So that will run between those two cities. So we've got the passenger run, we've got the freight run. Let's start game time. So the other thing I like to do, and I don't know if I'm the only one or if others do this as well, is I prefer to have a zoomed out view and on the with the contours on here because you can see the position of your trains just from a strategic point of view. So there's our express train, and this one will be our freight train. So you can see that the freight train's fully loaded with meat. Ideally, we'd have a refrigeration car on that from a from a food safety point of view. Food safety standards around the world are different, I guess, but we tend to like having refrigerated meat in this part of Australia. so so not yeah, just making an observation there. So let's put a maintenance depot on here. We've got 80. Oh, well, we've got 150 grand to spend. So let's do that. So that's on. And now we're just waiting for, if I take off the topography, you can see the connection bonus will get cashed in as soon as the first train gets there. So let's find our train. Oh, here's one. That's the freight train. And let's find the passenger train, which must be a bit further ahead. Oh, there we go. So we're just about to pull in. So let's ride along. That's always fun. So arriving in Albany, and what a picturesque little village we have. So I do actually like these ride along sequences. So we can see our two mad men driving the fastest machine in the world. Hey, we got our $500,000 connection bonus. So let's jump out of there and get back to work. So if we go back to our task list, we need to connect to that sugar. So that's the next item that we're going to do. The passengers are taking care of themselves, and Boston's going to start ticking up soon enough once we start delivering enough goods. So once this train comes back with some of the beer, that will be a step in the right direction. Let's get this sugar on because that'll help Boston grow as well. So topography on, let's build a station. So we have to, in order, I'm going to put the station like right over the far side, away from here, from the business and from the track, because I want to have enough, space for the connection onto the main line. And I don't want the station too close to the main line. Is the summary of that. So let's let's build that, and that should just connect right in. So 2%. Oh, bloody! What are you doing to me, game? I have a sensitive mouse, so when I right click, sometimes it will just cancel the whole thing. But anyway, that's all. Lots of things are sensitive in this world. So I'm just going to build two platforms straight up because we've got enough money. If I was going to be a bit more managerial or frugal, we'd be able to get away with only using one platform and having our sugar trains, fluff around and hang out and wait here rather than hang out and wait on the second track and be loaded. So that's that. Well, we haven't done the supply towers along this route as well, so we better do that too. But let's do the train first. So we're going to have a sugar train, and we want the sugar train to be full every time, hence we're doing that. We're going to set it as a freight train. I'll do my naming convention. So we're looking at F1 sugar and taking it across to Boston. So good on us. John Bull, one train, bada bing. That will be enough to meet the demand. Now, the other thing that I touched on is warehousing. So I'll just put these supply towers in, and then we will look at uh, warehousing because that is critical to our strategy. So I'll put a supply tower out here. So everything that comes from Albany and from the sugar farm will get picked up here. And I'll put another one out here because um, it's good to have supply towers towards both ends of a route, and then that way it will yeah, there's more opportunities for your trains to refill. Um, so let's see, we've got our sugar train. It's loaded up. It's taking off. We own the sugar farm, so it's going to build up at 1.6 carriages. I think it's per week. Um, so as our cities grow, we will also need to reinvest in all of our businesses that we've purchased to increase their production rate. So um, again, it's a you know it's a vicious cycle of revenue generation that we will create. So that it can be pricey first up, but once you do it, after a couple of quarters of gameplay, you are absolutely killing it with revenue. So, well, assuming you set up your whole railway correctly in the first place, which we will. So let's do the warehouse. So Boston. Oh, I clicked on the meat industry. Boston, 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 Boston Station. So we've got only two slots for buildings. So warehouse. Let's build that. So the warehouse itself, and I'll explain this. I'll assume that I'm talking to an audience that has very little experience. So excuse me if you already know all this stuff that I'm going to go over. But it's yeah, not for you know some explanations are not for the old hands. They're for the newies, and we just need to you know bear with us. So the warehouse. Okay, kids, for the warehouse, we store transported goods that we bring to the city. So in our specific case, we're bringing wood to this city. So we could store wood in the city. So from our small business up to the north, we could bring wood here and then store it in the warehouse. So what does that do? That will allow a freight train, so our F2 freight train from Boston to Albany, when it comes along, it's able to pick up goods that are stored in the warehouse that will be demanded in Albany. So in our case, the wood is demanded in Albany. Wood's demanded in every city, but our freight train would be able to pick it up from here and move it on. Now, another good that I'm going to store is beer. So what that will do is the beer that comes from Albany on our freight train, it's going to be stored in the warehouse here. So Boston, population Boston will use it to meet their needs, but also other freight trains that come from Portland will also be able to pick up beer that they need and take it up to Portland. So it's creating a distribution hub, so to speak. So when you're playing the game, you're able to use these warehouses to set you know, specific goods that aren't produced in a neighboring city, for pickup. So there's I guess there's a network. What I call it in my mind is you'll have a network of leapfrogging goods that you can set up, because they don't get produced in say Boston or the next city, but you bring something from a city to the south, uh, have it dropped off in Boston, and then all around it can be distributed. So that way you don't need to have your warehouse set to store that good in you know, another adjacent city. So if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to also include wheat in this warehouse, even though we haven't put it, and I'll include sugar. So we haven't set up our wheat line yet, but we're going to probably probably very soon. And we'll also need to get to these wool and cloth things as well. So that's the warehouse for now. We'll come back and set more goods in that. I will unpause the game, and I'll allow a little bit of time to. No, I won't allow time to go by. I'll just. Oh, what have we done? We've completed a task. The sugar. There we go. Passengers are still going up. This should start to move soon. It hasn't moved yet, but let's have a look at the population of Boston and their needs. So their needs aren't moving yet, but if we look at the goods demand, so this is the stock that's in Boston at the moment, and you can see we've got zero beer, zero corn, zero wheat. So um, for our city to grow, we need to get the fulfillment demand above 60%. And so the way that occurs, the way the demand goes up, is if you meet the needs of all of these different products. So we need to bring wheat, we need to bring corn, and we need beer. So we've got beer on the way already. Once our freight train comes back from Albany, it will be full of beer, and that will be that. We'll start seeing the uptake there. Now we've got 500,000. We need to Once we have more goods in Boston, I'll construct a freight train between Boston and Portland. We also need to look at buying this wheat business. So let's do that. Ah, look at that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. 84 grand for a wheat farm. That is, you couldn't even steal a farm for that much. At Smile Pie, why are you talking about stealing farms? No reason. So here's our beer train coming back. I don't work for a bank, so I don't know about stealing farms, but you know, let's leave that aside. So the beer train or the freight train will come back with beer. We'll load it up, um, load up Boston with beer. That's probably a rare situation where that happens. If I'm led to believe what I know about Boston. Anyway, Boston slander aside, an Irish city full of beer. What could go wrong? Nothing. It's going to be pretty much like Australia. Yeah. So how are we going for fulfillment? The beer hasn't arrived yet, so there's still time. That is our beer coming in real time. So let's move on. That'll take care of itself. We've got our wheat farm here. So our wheat farm will do one of two things. It will supply Albany Brewery with wheat that it needs to turn it into beer. So we will buy our own, or we'll sell our own wheat to our own brewery, which makes us money, and then we will move the beer, which makes us money, and we make money in the transport of that beer as well. So we're getting money. We're getting money everywhere we go. So, and that is called an integrated supply chain. So a lot of successful businesses, attempt to make that practice, and that's what we're doing in this game. So let's make the station here for the beer, or for the wheat. Sorry. Now we're gonna go into planning mode again. So before I build a station here, let's plan out where our next main line would be. So I would suggest we come out of Albany. We'll have a straight section here because I want to leave potential if we need to have a branch line up to the north to grab either of these, the veggies or the milk. We want to have that option available. So let's have a straight run out, and then we can curve. We're trying to avoid the mountain range as best we can, but we probably will be able to do that. So come down here, and then we'd want to have another east-west platform in Syracuse at some stage. So I'm not going to build all the way to Syracuse. I'm just going to set the main line to go beyond, so we know the general direction that we're going in. And then we'll need to build a station here, so we'll construct that as well. But let's start this main line. So platform, coming off platform 1. So I want to run it. So one of the weird things the game does is this: you can't have the line run exactly dead straight off the platform. I don't know why it does that, but that's a that's a quirk which I'm not a fan of. So we I may have gone a bit too close to the mountain range. So let's chop some of that off, just so we can dodge the hills. Let's go. So we're creating some earthworks for ourselves, but earthworks are good. They keep you fit and strong when you have to do your own digging. And speaking from experience, I have done so much digging. Anyway, that's different content for well, smile pie. We're not here to learn about your life in bloody Australia. Just show us the trains and shut up and piss off. All right, audience. No need for aggression. Yeah. So let's run the duplicated main line out to our hold point. So that's good. Direction of travel. Let's put that on. Oh, that's very good. Let's put a gridiron on there. And now we need to put on a station for this. So how do we want it to go? Like, some people would have a parallel station like this to the main line, but not a smile pie, or maybe smile pie. Usually, I dismissed my own setup immediately. So yeah, that's more about planning. I've been bloody good at planning on this video. So um, let's aim to do better if that's even possible. But if I have a perpendicular station, which is the way I usually do it, we won't have enough space for our curved branch lines to come out. It won't leave us a space for our nice straight gridiron as well. So that will not do. Smile Pie's tendencies will be a bit moody. Let's say that. But so we'll put the station back here, and we'll do something a bit wild with the tracks and the connection. So we'll do that. Let's do the tracks now. So I still want my straight bit here, and I'm just going to do what I want. I'll have 2 platforms because we actually use quite a lot of grain in this game, so it's not bad to have a. Let's how bloody crap is this? No, I've just stuffed it. Like, it's always crap. Let's realign that. we'll call this one the superior planning episode. So let's put it like that. It's it's definitely not the way I like it at all, but you know, lots of things happen the way that we don't like, and we just have to deal with it. Smile pie. That sounds a bit, you know, life lesson, life lessony. Do tell. No, I'm not telling. So there we go. That's that. Direction of travel. Gridiron for here. That'll do. We've got two tracks all the way. Let's set some trains. So Albany, do we have a? Oh, let's take that off. Do we have a engine maintenance depot? We do. We'll need a. We'll need the supply tower as well. So let's have the supply tower on the branch line. We don't need it on the main line just yet, but we will one day when we have the main line actually carrying stuff. So let's do the train. We're going to be carrying grain from here to Albany. We want a full train. We want it to be a freight train. We want to rename it as an F1 wheat train with the destination as Albany. So that's the naming convention. We're going to have a John Bull train and we're using one train. So that will start immediately. So that will fill up at this station. Now it's just going to run back and forth between between the wheat farm and Albany all the time. Um, Heaps, more than enough. Now, I'm also going to have a train run from here down to Boston. So this farm will supply Boston with wheat, and you'll recall that we've set wheat to be, um, you know, stored in the warehouse down here. So now when I have my mouse hover over Boston, you can see all of these other products. So that the wheat, the wood, the beer, and the sugar, all of those are set to collect at Boston. So that's why you can see them. And they're the goods that will be available for any freight train that pulls into Boston. They'll be able to collect those goods as part of their loads and ship them off to to their destination. So let's set that and that. So wheat farm to Boston. So we're going to carry wheat all the way to Boston, and we're not going to return with anything that I set. Maybe some automatic things might get picked up, but I don't think it's going to drop them off in Albany on the way through. I don't think they do that. Um, so it is a F1 wheat to Boston, and I'm aware it's all caps. I like my goods in all caps. Again, more fussy than perfection. So, and let's run two trains because we're actually going to be supplying. It's not just Boston, but the wheat that will accrue in the warehouse here will also get shipped on to Portland. So, and we don't have any wheat farm close nearby to Portland or to, in the future, Bangor. So perhaps this wheat will supply those up here. So we may be running this wheat farm at capacity at some point. So let's pause that. Now I'll take the topography off. There's another quirk with the warehouse. And this has been done in a this is not part of the original base game. This was done in one of the recent updates. I guess I don't know the exact time when this was done, but it is a handy change. So if we turn this off, the automatic distribution, the freight trains that bring goods to the warehouse will just keep bringing them, and they'll just keep stacking up and stacking up. So if we want to stockpile 100 wheat, you click that off, and the train will bring in. The trains will just keep coming, and it'll keep storing and building up. So um, do we do it or not now? I don't think there's much. I don't think we need to. Let's just leave it off. Let's be conservative and not mess around with that one. So that's the wheat trains set up. Now, what else will we need? We needed corn as well in Boston, and I've only got 55 days left for this connection bonus up in Bangor, so we better build that if we want to take advantage of that. So we're starting to get to a point where we may need um, to go to our favorite people, the finance people. They're always trustworthy, but we may need to borrow some money from them, and in order to extend our empire into Bangor and to purchase these businesses as well. So let's have a look at how much these things cost. So oh, let's just buy it right now. That's too easy. Um, $97,000 just short of that. So that's pretty good. And then let's have a look at the textile business. Weaving mills. How much are you? We're looking at 169. So let's just borrow. Let's just go and borrow some money right now. So the company start. Um, these sheets can be useful. So that's a useful balance sheet. Our competitor, so it's not really much of an issue, but for us here, do we want to have a low interest loan with a small amount of capital, or do we want a larger amount of capital with a high interest loan? I think for the time being, what do we want to do? Let's take this one because we can get multiples of these, and by the time we have 44 weeks, we will have already paid this back, and yeah, we'll be killing it. So let's buy this business straight up. Okay, so business is purchased. Bangor is within our grasp, but I'm not going to build the connection in this video. I'm going to finish up the video now because we're starting to get a bit lengthy. So let's conclude the video here. Um, Again, everyone, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you've come this far, like you to like or ask you to like and subscribe the video. And remember, and I thought up a catchphrase as well. So remember, with small bites, every pie can be eaten. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.